Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode number 165. Today is April 11th. My name is Craig Perales, and joining me today, my brother, Geno Perales. Looking spiffy, looking clean, looking classy.
Yeah, got the call, came straight from work.
Hey,
Gotta
nice.
do.
How was work today?
Busy.
Yeah, you were saying that earlier, but like, did some crazy nonsense happen? Or everybody come in trying to cash their 401ks?
It's just because I had to call off yesterday. It just not ruins, but I have to like redo my whole week, and it just makes it a little bit of shuffle.
It really just
gotta play the game.
Piles it up. So again, guys, apologies that our episode didn't come out a little sooner during the weekend like it should have. But our main topic, like you'll see, is going to be about the Mario movie. So instead of putting a kind of review out there with maybe some slight spoilers, we decided to give it another day or two, let people go see it over the weekend, and have its chance to kind of build up. So that is why the episode's a little bit late. Apologies for that. But if you guys are watching the YouTube version of the show, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend, hit the notification bell. If you guys are interested in following us on any of our social networks, our Linktree link is in the description of the YouTube video. And if you guys are listening to the audio-only version of this podcast, check us out on whatever podcast platform you prefer of your choice. We're pretty much on all the good ones out there. So
The ones that count.
Yeah, all the ones that matter in life. So before we get into our main topics, guys, what are you up to? We take a second to kind of just catch up for the week. What have you been watching? What have you been playing? Since Geno, you are the guest today. What have you been up to, man? Start in any order.
I'll do you break one before. So I'll start with the game I'm playing. So right now I'm playing Ni no Kuni 2, published by Bandai Namco, developed by Level 5, originally released on March 22nd on the PS4, which is the original way that I did get to play it. It re-released the Prince's Edition on Game Pass March 21st, 2023. Nice 5 years later. I got really good reviews, 9 out of 10 on Steam, 9 out of 10 on Nintendo Life, 87% on Open Critic. It's considered a masterpiece, but it's not considered better than number one by most people. I think there's an argument there. Playing it for the second time and playing it right after number one, I actually like number two a little bit better. I'm about 22 hours into it. The more I'm playing, all the flashbacks are coming back from when I had originally played it. But those of you who don't know, it's about the human you play this time is Roland. He gets transferred into Ding Dong Dale, Ding Dong Dale, where Evan this time is the main protagonist. He's about to go through his coronation when the rats do a coup and they kind of overthrow everything. So the story kind of starts out from there with Evan and Roland going on to make Evan a king again, and kind of the adventure that takes place from there. The only thing is this time it has some people from Studio Ghibli, but it's actually not a Studio Ghibli collaboration like the other one is. But you can't tell. I mean, it is still just as beautiful as the other one. You look like you're playing an anime. I highly recommend it. To me, it's better than one. I'll probably get slack for that, but it's a good game. As far as movies, I just got to see the Dungeons and Dragons movie. I got to watch that with Renee, Denny, and Dante. Came down from Vegas. Trailer looked amazing. I was really hyped to go see it. The main question I think everyone has is if you're not a D&D fan, can non-D&D fans go watch it? And the answer is absolutely yes. They explain enough and make it quirky enough to where we didn't have a problem. That was the main thing. Denny's like, am I going to like it? I'm like, yeah, you should. It, without giving too much away, it is way funnier than I thought. The only thing is it was kind of slow for me to get into it. I was like, this is okay so far. But this Reggae John Page from Bridgerton, I've never seen him in anything else, but in this, dude, he plays like a pen and paper paladin. How you know how they're very straightforward and they're very stoic. This guy overplays it so fucking perfectly that it got me into it. And then as soon as he came on board, I wish there was more of him. But the whole movie just kind of clicked for me, dude. It has everything you want. It has the dungeons. It has the dragons. It has some lore in it with like the Harper stuff is in there. And it has a lot of the creatures that you want to see. I think everybody acted very, very well. And it was way funnier than I thought. I don't drink too much during movies, but I was with the six. Dude, we had I learned my 6 beers talking 7, but we had such an awesome time watching it. The only thing that was kind of interesting is we were finishing the movie, we went to the bathroom, and and this guy comes in with a fucking D&D like a popcorn holder. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Do you bring that? He's like, no, they sell them. I'm like, they didn't tell me shit. So I went back out there and I'm like, how many you got left? And he's like, 6. I bought them all, and sorry for the people coming after me, but I know they're limited, so I bought one for our D&D group. I want to make sure Craig got one. I want to make sure Gattenbein gets one, so there's a surprise for you, buddy. Dante, Denny, me, and then I got Sherry one. So Good movie. They did have a cool collector D20 one that I guess Vegas was selling and stuff. People already eBaying it for $100.
Yeah, I've seen that.
We had that one, but the helmet, the one we got of the dragon, is good, and he's in the movie, dude, and he's perfect, dude. Me and Danny were dying when that thing came on screen. So I highly recommend. Go and watch it. Give this movie the money it deserves.
Nice.
Awesome.
I haven't seen it yet, and I'm going to. But I was talking to TK. I was playing Halo with TK earlier, and he was like,
"You still haven't seen it?"
No, because we were supposed to go this weekend, and this weekend turned into a whole shit show.
I'll go with you.
Okay, let's do that. So, but TK was like, unless you're going to talk about it on the show, he's like, I think it's passable. And I'm like, I'm like, well, Geno and Denny said they loved it, but he wants a more Lord of the Rings style D&D, not a. He's like, it was just too jokey for me, and I'm like, I think that's kind of the entry point for the average Joe, like you were saying, like you know, I mean, you can always make another Lord of the Rings, I guess, and make it more serious. But I think the comedy is what lends itself to a younger audience to come in and see it.
It does.
And then
for me, it did. Yeah.
And how many post-credit scenes? You said there's a good one.
There was one. I only stayed for one. There could have been a second one. I guess I looked that up. But they have one funny one. Like, you know, it's good. So I definitely read it. Especially if you're a fan, go watch it. Even if you're not, Denny will attest to it. To me, it was funny. I won't oversell it, but I was laughing out loud.
Perfect. Good. And we got our D&D game coming up on Thursday, so should be get us right back in the. Hey, I'm going to use the dragon head, and we're going to put snacks in it. Excellent.
Roll my dice in it.
Yeah. So as far as what I've been watching, I've been just trying to catch up on some backlog stuff. Deandra and I usually, when we're trying to think of a movie, what we did the other day was so that we have we have Disney, Hulu Plus. Netflix, all of them. So what we do is like she picks a movie on one streaming platform, I pick the other, and then we put them into a roulette, and then we spin the wheel to see who wins.
What?
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
A real roulette, or
no, like an app. Like, we put them on a wheel and then spin it. Yeah, it's not bad. But I think I know if I'm not mistaken, it was on Paramount Plus. I just watched. We ended up watching The Quiet Place, which came out in 2018. The synopsis is. In a post-apocalyptic world, a family is forced to live in silence while hiding from monsters with ultra-sensitive hearing. I've been wanting to see this because I know there's a number 2 out that's done really well. And if I remember hearing correctly, they're making a third one.
I think so.
I don't think they've said what it is, and I think one of the speculations is that it's a prequel of the day when everything arrived. So you're going to look at it from different perspectives of when the creatures came.
A Quieter Place?
The Quietest.
I've only seen
place.
one, and it's a good film. I haven't seen 2.
Yeah, it was really cool. But I remember I told you to watch the trailer with that girl.
Yeah.
Deandra, we were sitting there watching it, and she goes, she looks like the girl version of Dustin from Stranger Things.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't unsee it after that, but the movie was great. It's obviously John Krasinski and Emily Blunt.
With that beard, too. He looks
he's a very handsome fellow. And when I was looking at the cast only has 7 people in it. It's pretty, I have some issues with it. There's certain spots where I'm like the whole, and it's in the trailer, the whole birthing scene doesn't make sense to me. Like, I don't get how fast that would be and how quiet she could possibly be. But the other thing is these monsters, when they show up in the house, if they can't see and they're going off a sound, are they going through the doors? Or why aren't they just like barreling through, like why aren't they busting through these walls?
Maybe they have echolocation like a dolphin.
Yeah, but then they'd be seeing all the other people. I don't know. So I gotta watch number 2 and see if they kind of explain any more of that. But for what it was, I thought it was a really great movie. As far as what I've been playing, I started playing Chained Echoes. It came out on December 8th of last year of 2022. Developed by Matthias Linda and published by Deck 13. Now I was trying to figure out, I'm like, what is Matthias Linda? I've never heard of this developer. It's actually just one guy.
Oh, shit.
One dude. It's the dude's name.
That's his name?
Yeah, it's his name. And he actually made this whole thing. And it's definitely got these like 16-bit visual styles. It says he was pulling from like his games that he loved as a kid, Final Fantasy VI, Breath of Fire, Suikoden 2, Secret of Mana. It's awesome. It's definitely more mature. Like the language that they use is definitely like there's people that are getting like killed. This one dude gets his eye and his arm like cut off, and like so it's a very mature type of game. Yeah, it's very Japanese RPG turn-based. It's got a couple of cool things. It's got these, instead of like leveling up and grinding out gears, when you beat certain spots, that you get a point, and that point kind of represents your level, and then you can plug in other skill points. It's got this system where it's like this overdrive bar. So the more you do damage, it's like a yellow, green, red. The more you do damage, you want to stay in the green, and if you hit the red, like they do more damage to you.
Isn't that like Octopath Traveler?
No, Octopath Traveler has like a break system.
Oh no. Okay, no. It was another game I was playing, but
maybe
I started it. Does it have air machines? in the beginning?
Yeah,
it does.
Like you're flying in like. Yeah,
oh, okay. I started it. Actually, okay, it is that game. That game is sick. I only just played the first like 2 hours. It was totally
it's nice. So I've been craving like an RPG like that, and it definitely fits the bill. It's got a cool concept where you can link these characters together to where once they start fighting each other, like you can swap them out, and that'll help lower your overdrive bar. But essentially, you have access to all your characters. So now it's like, okay, who do I want to pair up my fighter and my healer?
That's right where I had stopped doing it, and I don't know why. I think a game came out or something, and that's right where I got to. So I need to plug back in as soon as I beat this.
Nice, because I put Resident Evil 4 on the back burner for now. I definitely will get to it, but it just wasn't. It wasn't what I was
started?
Yeah, but I just wasn't in the mood what I wanted to play. I didn't want to play like a shooter. Like I wanted an RPG type game that I can listen to like a nice little podcast. So I highly recommend it. It's on the Game Pass. So
yeah, because I'm trying to beat Ni no Kuni. Probably take me another week. As soon as Star Wars comes out, that's it.
That's exactly. Now we have a good 2 weeks until it comes
that'll
out.
probably take me through May. Hopefully I beat it sooner, but then as soon as June comes, I'll be Diabloing through Christmas.
I will not see you.
Yeah, I'll be on that for probably a minute.
For a hot more than 1 minute.
Maybe even 1 hour.
So that is what I've been playing, guys. Leave down in the comments below what you've been watching, what you've been playing. Let us know, and we can try to check that out. So with that down and out of the way, guys, let's move into our main topic, and clearly that is going to be the Super Mario Bros. Movie. It is now out. It launched, came out on April 5th to kind of some mixed reviews, surprisingly. I thought this thing was going to come out and be an instant success for everybody, but looking at some of the scores, IMDb is giving it a 7.4 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, surprisingly, gave this a 56% right now. So before we dive into the movie, I just kind of want to ask you real quick, and again, possible spoilers. We will talk about the movie. We'll do our best not to go out of our way to ruin anything. But if we want to talk about the movie, we want to bring up what it's about. But, shameless plug. I did do an out of the theater review if you guys want to watch that at all on the channel. But so I just want to ask you, did you, we'll pick apart the movie in a second, but where do you think this thing lands? If Rotten Tomatoes is giving it a 56, IMDb is a 7.4, are you ranking it anywhere near that, or do you think it's somewhere in the 8, 9, 10 category?
No, because if you look at on IMDb, the fans, it's like 90-something%. I'm definitely on that side, man. When I came out of the theater, I looked at because there was a part where I had a little teardrop, dude. When there's a certain part where the music starts just going, dude, where I actually it just totally took me for all it's worth. I looked at Bob, I'm like, dude, for me, this is going to be a 10 out of 10. I got to rewatch it. But this just set the bar for me for what a video game movie should be, at least on the animated side. I'll watch it again and I'll come back to that. But I looked at it, I'm like, dude, this just set the bar for a lot of video game things moving forward. And right now, I stand by it.
Yeah, I'd argue that for me, the minimum I would put it at is an 8.5.
I give it an 11, but I don't want to be an 8.
I thought it was great. So I'm not sure where a lot of people are talking about how the story isn't that great. And we'll get to that in a second. But I thought the movie was great. And it definitely, I think, is at least an 8.5, if not higher. So with that being said, before we dive into the movie, I just wanted to point out that it did very, very well. It actually broke several different records, and it did. Let me pull up its box office thing here. So yeah, it did some good money. So in its opening week, it did 146.3 million. Its domestic so far is at 204.6 million. International is at 170.9 million. And then worldwide, it's sitting at 375.5 mil. Now, to point out what it did a couple of things that record-breaking, if you want to say this. So far, it is the biggest opening of 2023, which just surpassed Ant-Man 3. It's the biggest Wednesday through Sunday opening of all time. We do got to put a small asterisk on that because, generally speaking, movies don't open up on a Wednesday. They open up on Friday through Sunday, and then their midnight release is Thursday. But if I'm not mistaken, that last Friday, it was Good Friday. So what they did is they moved it from Friday to Thursday, and when that happened, its midnight release became Wednesday. So that is why it's got a 5-day or 5-day opening. Where there's other movies that have done that, not a lot, but as of right now, out of all of them, Mario's the one that's the best of all time. It's the biggest opening for Illumination, who are the ones that do the animation for that, and it passed Minions, which was the previous record holder, at 115 million. That's what they beat, where theirs is 246. It's the second biggest animated film opening of all time, only behind Incredibles 2, which is at 183 million, which is weird. I wouldn't think that it would have been Incredibles 2. I would have thought it would have been like a Toy Story. And then
that is interesting.
The final thing is it's the biggest video game adaptation opening of all time. So this thing did really well. So it's surprising that it's not being universally loved. But I don't know. You're seeing everything that it broke. I don't know. Did anything stand out to you? Does anything kind of interesting? Do you think it's well deserved?
I think it's well deserved. It's interesting, like you said, the Incredibles 2. I would have thought it was a Toy Story thing, and then it passing Minions for the biggest 3-day opener
for the studio, for
established things. But dude, when I went to the theater, man, there were kids decked out in Mario gear. I mean, you're coming with people from nostalgia that wanted to do it. I mean, I can totally see why, because you have little kid. It's only little kid movie out right now. Even next weekend, there's no animated movies that are coming out. So this is going to be the movie for kids right now. And then you have every single adult who grew up playing these games like us coming. So I can totally see where the numbers come from.
Yeah, I think it's super impressive, and I think a lot of people knew this movie was going to be
super
big.
Impressive?
Super Mario impressive. I think a lot of people knew it was going to be big. I don't think anybody kind of realized it was going to be as big as it's done. So kudos to them. So with that being out of the way, let's get into just kind of talk about the movie a little bit because, and again, spoilers if you don't want to hear any of this or you consider any of this to be a little spoily. But I want to start with the performances. And again, a lot of people were having issues with Chris Pratt, Mario, and how they were kind of little. They weren't showing that much in the trailers. And when the stuff you did hear, was it reminiscent of the Mario that you know from the games, the Charles Martinet kind of voice? And again, they, like I said in the fresh out of the theater, they addressed that, and I think they addressed it.
They did it on purpose.
Yeah, I think they did it awesomely. The way they hit it. So I thought he actually ended up doing a great job as Mario. What did you think about the voice and all that stuff, and actually how it was explained?
Oh, I thought it was done. The only way they could have explained it was for me that was perfect. And then by the time you're 20 minutes in the movie, you don't care anyway. Like, I wasn't even worried about the voice. I was just, you're so busy looking at every single thing else that's happening on the screen, all the Easter eggs that are popping up, all the color, the music, dude. So, I don't know. They explained the original voice stuff perfectly, in my opinion.
Yeah, they kind of they show that it's in the trailer. Like, they do this little commercial for their plumbing business, and it's the characters that they portray. You know, they're versions of when they play Mario and Luigi have those voices. But then outside, you know, they're just regular guys from Brooklyn. So, and I gotta say, DK, I think had a strong performance with Seth Rogen.
Oh,
I wasn't sure how much he was actually going to be in it, or how much Kong Jungle was going to be in it. But he had a great part at the end when him and Mario are kind of like teaming up, and that whole kind of dynamic, that chemistry was excellent.
Yeah, not getting along. Dude, there's a little part where him and Mario going at it, but something happens, and his big monkey face, like that Seth Rogen laugh was just iconic. He was the best part of the movie for me. And
I think, hands down, Bowser steals the show. He stole every trailer that I saw. But Jack Black's performance as Bowser was easily not only sometimes the funniest, but it's just some of the coolest scenes. Like when he's sitting there playing his piano.
Oh, dude, he's playing here, come, sit with me.
Yeah.
And they go... And he's all talking about it. Dude, it was perfect.
And then, but then when he kind of turns into a goofball because he's in love with Princess Peach, and... he kind of wants to get her to marry him. Like, he just played two different versions of Bowser. I thought the King of Koopas.
Yeah, is it more of like, what is that? Like a sociopath where he's just switching back and forth or something like that? Or, they did it very well. It's two very different sides of Bowser, which is kind of cool to see.
So any other performances that you thought I think those three for me were the strongest, but was there anybody else you wanted to talk about?
No, I was going to say if I'm nitpicking and I'm looking for stuff to kind of crack down on, the voices I thought I wasn't going to like Charlie Day, loved. The only thing I kind of, if I have to pick, had an issue with was Cranky Kong's voice. I just don't think it quite matched where I think everybody else is after watching the movie. I really enjoyed, but his is just kind of like, and that's really just trying to find something I didn't like with it. So
nice. So with that, let's get into the story, because this is what a lot of people, I guess, are having the issue with, and they're saying it's a little lackluster. But at the same point, I'm like, what did you think the story was going to be based on?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're trying to base it off the video game, unless you're talking like the RPG Marios, it's essentially save the princess. That's what the concept is. And in this one, they don't really even do that. It's more, they kind of switch it to where it's now let's save Luigi, let's save my brother. I got to go get him. And then now let's save Mushroom Kingdom because the Iceland's already been decimated. So I wasn't sure how much of a story did you really want. I mean, if you go to an Alvin and the Chipmunk animated movie, I'm sure the story plot is that they have to sing and to save something. So I I guess I'm on the other side of the fence where I thought the story was fine. It was not only did he have to go save his brother, and you get to see that side of the castle, but he also has to stop Bowser from trying to kidnap Peach, like he always does, to get him to marry her, and then save the Mushroom Kingdom from being decimated. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, I have no idea. Like, I almost want to go back and watch an interview and see what the hell they're talking about, because to me, it's a tight movie. It's an hour and a half. They showed a lot. They did a lot. He saves his brother. He saves the Mushroom Kingdom, and it's also him of like self. Making him reassuring himself, because his family's calling him a failure with the business and all this kind of stuff, and then he's thinking he's not worth it, and at the end he comes together, does all this stuff, becomes an actual hero, and then he's celebrated for it. They're saying, you are worth it, and it all comes together. So to me, it's like, dude, it hit like 3 different points.
Yeah,
it set up the universe really, really well. I don't know what to talk about with no story. There's emotional things in there, and that's what drove it for me. So I don't know. I'm on the other side of the fence too. I don't really know what they're talking about.
Yeah, even if you do think it's weak, I mean, it's definitely not one note.
Might be weak, but
it's not flat. It's not one, like you're saying. There's 3 different parts that they did, and the family stuff I thought was really interesting. How they set it up in the beginning that Mario, that they're almost throwing him under the bus for taking Luigi away for all this stuff. So I don't know. I thought it had some powerful moments. Is there anything else about the story you want to bring up?
No, because I'm on board with it. I just don't agree that there was nothing there. I thought it was plenty.
And then I just kind of, to end it, I just wanted to point out, like, this thing has a ton of good Easter eggs, a ton of good nostalgia.
And a good montage.
The montage is awesome. Killer music. One of the things I thought was the funniest is when he wants to go see Peach, and then the 2 little toad guards are just like, oh, sorry, your princess is in another castle. It's just little things like that just was like, dude, this is awesome. That would make anybody from your grandparents to your children and you all fall in love with it. Yeah. So I don't know. Was there anything that caught your eye?
Little perks. I just like when he gets the mushroom and there's little whacks where he gets hit. Oh yeah, when you lose it and he's starting to get a little bit better. When as soon as he sticks his hands out as he's running, I'm like, yes, dude. Like the little stuff like that, they paid perfect attention to where even if you think the movie is a little weak on story, there's so much throwback for people to just thoroughly enjoy. Not that that's an excuse, because I don't think there was a bad story anyway, but there's tons of that stuff in there.
Yeah, and I did want to point out, and I don't know if you knew this, there's a song in the movie that Jack Black does called Peaches, which is hilarious, and it's like this ode to Princess Peach. I guess it hasn't been submitted yet to get one of the spots, but it's possible that it can be nominated for Best Original Song for the Oscar. Oh, you got that?
I got it right
nice.
There.
So what did you think about that?
I just read it today when I was at work. No, I think that was awesome. If it's Jack Black doing an original work, it's that good too.
Yeah.
Which, totally. I hope it wins.
And it's a song that's actually in the movie. I was listening to some other podcasts, and they're like, usually these songs that always win, it's the song that plays at the end of the credits. He's like, no, this one's actually integrated into it, and it's Jack Black. Of course, he knew he was going to sing.
Oh, dude, that was probably some of the best stuff, man. Him and that piano work was good.
And then the last thing I wanted to ask before we move on is, obviously, they're going to make a number 2, right? There's an Easter egg at the end, literally, pun intended. But do you think they're going to explore the rest of the world, like do a Zelda, or at least maybe do a Donkey Kong, or maybe a Metroid or something like that? Do you think they'll explore that, or do you think they'll stick to Mario 1, 2, 3, 4?
It's hard to tell. I think they'll be connected in some way, but it's just super hard to tell. I hope they explore it, because that's going to have more people coming in, more people talking about it. They have all the tools to do it, so I hope it goes there.
I think a Samus Star Fox movie would be dope.
Or something's coming in their world, and they asked Mario for help, the Mushroom Kingdom, because they heard about this great hero, and you see it kind of combined. There's a million ways they could do it. I think they have to include other Nintendo properties, because why not? So yeah, I think it'll do it. I just don't know in what capacity.
You think eventually it'll culminate to be a Smash Brothers movie? Because I know that's what everyone's thinking. A lot of people are always like, where's the Smash Brother movie? And, you start making these other ones from these other universes, and then whatever comes to try to put them all in, I think that'd be gnarly.
Dude, sky's the limit with that, man. They have everything on there.
Nice. So that's pretty much what we wanted to say about the Mario movie. Definitely go check it out. I don't think we spoiled really anything for you guys, but definitely check it out. And this thing, it broke records, and I think well deserved. So is there anything else on the Mario movie you want to touch on?
No, I loved it, man. Go see it. It's well worth the money. It deserves it. So I'll watch it again. I think I want to go back with. I don't think Denny's seen it. So
nice. All right. So the second main topic, we're going to stick with video game movies, and that is the Tetris movie just came out, and that came out on March 31st, 2023. It's an Apple TV Plus I believe it's an original from them. It's definitely on their app. Unlike the Mario movie, this movie got some fairly higher critic reviews. 81% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 61 on Metacritic, 7.4 out of 10 out of IMDb. The synopsis for this, if you haven't heard of it or you're not familiar with it, is Hank Rogers discovers Tetris in 1988 and then risks everything by traveling to the Soviet Union, where he joins forces with inventor Alexei Pajitnov to bring the game to the masses. Now, it's an awesome story, but it's very embellished, and they definitely take things and kind of go over the top. So I just wanted to read this real quick. And this is kind of what they said about it when they were asked about when they were making the movie. It says, the real Hank Rogers and Alexei Pajitnov reviewed the script, and Rogers said much of it was embellished. It's a Hollywood script. It's a movie. It's not about history, so a lot of what's in the movie never happened. But the filmmakers asked us a bunch of questions about what it was really like. They tried their best to accept our changes when they had to do with authenticity. But when it started getting into creative flourishes like the car chase and all that, it was like, okay, now it's all them. We couldn't change anything. So
that's funny he says that, because as soon as that happened, that was the first time I was like, okay, this has to not be 100% correct. That last 15 minutes, I was like, this has to be kind of the embellishment.
Yeah, I thought the movie, it's very dramatic. It's very well done too. Yeah, it doesn't, and that's the thing. It doesn't come off as low budget. Like even though it's a straight to streaming service,
it shouldn't be, man.
Yeah, I thought it was really very well done. But yeah, you could definitely tell. Like this plot line, it's almost like if they weren't talking about Tetris and they were talking about like nuclear codes out of the USSR, I felt like this could have been a Mission Impossible movie. And so what do you think about how they did it and all that and this version of the story?
Well, it's interesting because we've watched Tetris on Play Value, the recap on. This is a name I've never heard of, is this guy. So it was kind of interesting.
The guy that Taron Egerton plays, Hank Rogers.
And I liked at the end it showed the real picture of them too, and then he actually came over. So I was like, okay, cool. So this is a real dude, because I thought he was made up.
Yeah, so did I.
So I was really enjoyed that there was some new history of Tetris I just hadn't gotten to see or hear before. I was incredibly surprised with how well it was acted. I'm very disappointed it went straight to Apple TV, because Taron Egerton, this might be some of his best work, dude. I could not stop just seeing how much he just resembled Leonardo DiCaprio to me, which is my favorite actor. So this is a movie where I think he really showed his chops. But I thought the movie was extremely well done. Like I said, it kind of got a little fabricated to me at the end,
but it made it all the better.
Because at the end I was like, well, what's going to happen? This and that. So I just really wish it went out in theaters. I wish more people at least get to see it.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You got to remember Russia at that time, man. It was scary.
Oh,
scary
dude, it
stuff.
made Russia like you reminded what the Iron Curtain was and all that kind of stuff, dude.
But yeah, go back to Taron Egerton. His ability to sell astonishment, like when he looks at the Game Boy
for the first time,
man, he made me be like, I was like, whoo.
Yeah, I followed his lead, man.
But yeah, there was a lot of other great acting. Obviously, Toby Jones is a bigger name who plays Robert Stein. The dude that played Kevin Maxwell, Anthony
I liked him
Boyle,
a lot too.
He kind of reminded me of Richard Madden from Game of Thrones. He reminded me of the main brother, that Rob Stark. He kind of had vibes of him. The guy that kept interviewing, Oleg Stefan, who played Nikolai Belikov. All of them were just solid acting, solid performances. That
who was the dad? Maxwell, the billionaire dude.
Who played? Let me see if I can pull him up.
That was good. That guy who played him, I really enjoyed too. Like I said, it was good stuff, and I like the history with the Henrik guy. He was like born in Netherlands, moved over to here, and then he fell in love with his Japanese wife in Hawaii, and he moved over there and had 3 kids. So it was just like him having those certain connections in Japan and in the games and stuff, like that. It was able for him to be able to go and make some deals. It was just very cool intricacy of what it was like back then, trying to promote games, make games. When you saw a hit or knew what a hit was.
Dude, all the side hustling going on, because
tons of side
all
hustling,
these weird deals and all this stuff. So the guy that plays him is Roger Allam. He plays Robert Maxwell, the billionaire tycoon guy. Yeah, solid stuff,
I enjoyed it, man. And I hate we always come in here. I don't really trash movies too much. I enjoy movies what they were, but this one I thought was really, really good to watch, man. Yeah. I can't knock it.
Yeah, so if you're interested in the Tetris story, definitely check it out. It's on Apple. I'm sure you can buy it on VOD. on other platforms. But I mean, there's not really much more to say. I mean, it does a fucking Mission Impossible style story of the Tetris scenario, getting to all these other places in the world. You're gonna see a lot of backstabbing, a lot of conniving, a lot of these behind the curtain shake hand deals and stuff like that. So it was almost like this espionage type movie. So it's got a lot of thrill and it's got a lot of like edge of your seat kind of stuff. And it for a movie that's called Tetris, it didn't deserve that, and it did, and it was awesome.
Yeah, so. And they kind of throw out some of the scenes they transition to. It'll be pixelated, like game stuff, chapter 1 or whatever.
So what did you like better, the Mario movie or the Tetris movie?
They're two very different type of movies, but there was more in Mario that I like to see. But dude, I like seeing an actor's best performance, in my opinion, and Tetris had Taron Egerton's for me anyway. So
he's definitely the up and coming.
Close call.
Nice. So I don't know as much to say about that, guys. If you have watched any of these two movies, leave down in the comments below your thoughts on them. Let us know what you think. So with that down and out of the way, guys, let's move into questions of the week. Now, guys, if you want to submit a question that we can answer on the show, you can do so a couple of different ways. You can leave the question down below in the YouTube comment section. I can grab it there. You can email us at lastcallproductions@gmail.com, or you can find me on social media at Craig Perales, and I can take it there. So we only grabbed 2 questions this week. Normally we do 3, but we're a little behind, so I want to make sure we can try to get this episode as tight as we can. So the first question comes from Jackie Wright, and they say, just saw the Blue Beetle trailer, and I think it looks pretty cool. Do you think he will have a big role in the future DC movies? So that's the interesting point, because if you look at what they just did with obviously Black Adam and the new Shazam movie, those were pretty big flops, and there was a lot of controversy going around them that they added back in Henry Cavill's Superman and Black Adam, that The Rock had a lot of push of not putting Black Adam into the Shazam movie. So there's already some nonsense going around with the latest DC movies. And the other thing you got to keep in mind is James Gunn, now that he's the head honcho over there, they're kind of resetting the DC universe, and that's going to happen in 2025 when he writes and directs the first movie that's going to spawn, which is a Superman Legacy. So it's hard to say, where does Blue Beetle fit in? I think a lot of questions are going to be hopefully answered when we watch The Flash. Once The Flash kind of explains what's going on with all these different dimensions and things like that, I think we'll have a better answer of where Blue Beetle's going to fit in. But as of right now, watching the trailer, they're not really showing off any other characters, so it's safe to say he isn't his enemies and things like that. I don't think you're going to be seeing a Batman or a Flash, but I thought the trailer looked pretty cool, and I like that they're going with Jaime Reyes, because I know there's 3 other Blue Beetles, and I know a while back they were going to do one where it was the Ted Kord Blue Beetle, and they were going to do the buddy cop with Booster Gold. So I'm kind of glad that got scrapped in terms for more of this one. So I don't know, what do you think about the trailer? And do you think this Blue Beetle, this incarnation of Blue Beetle, do you think he has a future at DC, or is this a one and done?
No, I like the actor. He's Cobra Kai kid. I think he's awesome. The trailer, the first time I watched it, I didn't care for it. We watched it again 2-3 times. I actually did start enjoying it. I'm like, okay, cool. I do appreciate the setting and stuff like that. Just first time I watched it, I didn't like it. But I think when you make a movie about Blue Beetle, obviously you want him to be a big part of the standalone, or he would just be a cameo in someone else's movie. But like Shazam and all that stuff, I think it's going to be based on how well the reception is. So if this movie does what they hope it does, then yeah, I think he's absolutely going to have a bigger part in the DC. The Blue Beetle's iconic. He's a super powerful character. So if you need somebody who can fight the bad guy, like a
he's on a level like Cyborg,
like I was going to say, like a Cyborg or something, he is a powerful character to have in the arsenal. So I think if the movie's done right, he'll have a bigger part. If it flops, then you're on to the next version. You cut it out, but I think they're doing good. Like I said, the character George Lopez is in it, which I'm hit or miss with him, but he was funny in the trailer at the end.
Funny. I like
He's
his
a
look.
fascist.
I like it. I like his hillbilly look.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. So the more I watch the trailer, the more I like it. I think Blue Beetle looked amazing. Yeah. I think the way they did his powers, it doesn't look cheap. It does look like a high budget kind of movie. So I think everyone's there, at least in this first trailer. I might be drinking the Kool-Aid, but I think this one we're going to be safe with.
Right. And one of the things they were saying is, and this is before Zaslav came in and changed everything at DC and WB, but this was supposed to be a straight to HBO Max movie. And yeah, the new guy that took over.
Like a Disney villain.
And so this guy, so this movie was going to be straight to streaming, and he's like, no, this movie has potential.
Yeah.
This movie deserves to go to theaters, so I'm glad that they made that change. And you know what I'm just looking at? Susan Sarandon's character, her last name is Cord. So maybe she is going to have a tie-in with Ted Cord.
Oh,
and the Blue Beetle will make reference to that. So that's actually really cool. So, yeah, so to answer your original question, I think once we see Flash, we'll have a better idea of what's going on with DC. So,
yeah.
But you got to keep in mind, though, they are resetting it. They are going to revamp the whole thing. So, only time will tell from there. So thank you for the question. Great question. The final question comes from Kevin S. And they write, I was reading that a new Harry Potter show is happening. I think that would be awesome. The game was great. Yeah, the game did have a lot of good success. And I wanted to point this out. I guess I thought this was fairly real news or recent news, but I guess it's been talked back as far as January 2021 that there was something in the rumblings that was going to be happening. So HBO is going to be doing this. And the concept so far is that it's going to be 7 seasons, each season tied into one of the books, and I think they're going to be all guaranteed 8 episodes a piece. So, Geno, you're the one that got me into Harry Potter as a kid. What are your thoughts on a reboot as a TV show?
Well, there's good
or
and
a
bad.
Series, I should say.
So obviously, more Harry Potter for me is
means more Harry Potter for you.
Harry Potter for you. The game was excellent, but we're talking about the revamping the original books. It's going to be positive because now instead of we get movies that are kind of crammed down and done into a very tight space, we have 8 to 10 episodes to kind of flush out these books. So my first question is do you think they're going to add the Sphinx and all the kind of stuff that we missed? That could be one potential, but I think the thing that's going to be working against it is how freaking famous Daniel Radcliffe is, how freaking famous Ralph Fiennes is. So when you see new actors coming on, they got to be top notch, and we have to gravitate to them quick, or people are going to be like, it's not Daniel Radcliffe, it's not, fucking Granger and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So to answer the question, more for me is better, especially if it's flushed out and done right. But they're going to have a big task against going up the original people. Who did
it's weird because in my head I keep thinking Harry Potter was recent. It's too soon to do a reboot. It's 20 years old. It's over 20 years old by now. So
they're all 30.
They can all play each other's parents and stuff. So I think it's an awesome idea. I think reboot the shit out of this thing. And I think and this is HBO, this isn't Netflix doing it. We just saw what they did with Last of Us, and especially using 2 different characters that don't look like people from the game. So they have this ability to grab. So even if these characters don't look like Daniel Radcliffe and stuff like that, I think they're going to be able to nail that aesthetic. And just like you, I'm looking at these episodes could be very big exploration of all the stuff we missed in the movies, all these flashbacks. I'm hoping for full episodes of the parents and them making the Mordor's map and things like that. So, but I wanted to ask you this: who do you think are going to be the hardest to cast? Do you think it'll be Harry, Hermione, and Ron, or do you think it'll be Dumbledore, Snape, and Voldemort?
So I pick out of those, or what team?
What team? Who do you think?
It's going to be Harry, Hermione.
That people are going to have the harder time to accept versus the other 3?
Because Dumbledore's already been recasted and it was fine, and they're the biggest part of the movie. These are the faces you're going to see all the time, so it's going to have to be them. But for me personally, it was going to be just Radcliffe and Snape, just because everybody loved Alan Rickman. But, Dumbledore's been recast. It can happen. They got a better person, in my opinion, to do it. So I don't think that'll be the tough part. The big 3 are they're going to have to work, or it's not going to work at all.
Yeah, because Dumbledore, you had a guy behind a beard. Snape will be the hard one, and then Voldemort's going to be CGI, I'd imagine. But, dude, I want to see more of him in more of the episode. Sirius Black's going to be cool to see.
Flashback, and actually seen an episode just on a whole fighting thing, dueling and stuff. Something they don't have to shorten down because they're in a movie. So they got options. I just think, the big 3 have to work, or it doesn't work.
Do you think any of it will be? Do you think it'll be new canon? Do you think they'll try to stay? Do you think they'll take the liberties and either add or maybe take away from anything that's from the books, kind of how Last of Us is or has done it with the game, and make a whole new series that has potential to spin off? So where the movies have to stay in line with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, this new series, we could have a whole new spin-off that has nothing to do with Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and then we can go, oh cool, now let's let's explore this new villain or something like that.
Ooh, it's a good point. I hope so.
Yeah,
I didn't watch any of the Fantastic things. I don't think I'm going to. So
you're not missing anything. I'm not a fan of them.
And I'm a big Harry Potter fan, but those just, I don't care about that stuff. So if you can spin off into something cool, then yeah, let's go for it.
Excelente. So thank you for the question, and definitely, guys, leave your answers down below of what you think of a Harry Potter series officially in the work. So, guys, that is the end of episode 165. Join us later in the week for episode 166. So, my name is Craig Perales, guys. This is Geno Perales, and until next time, guys, cheers.